about to get serious here!
There's no winning when it gets to me now.
Alright everyone, JV here, and we're back with another Dragon Ball Z video on the channel today. Now today, we're going to be doing our top 10 list before the anniversary, which is creeping up pretty fast now. We have less than 2 weeks now. For those that don't know, the reveals and stuff is on the 24th, and the anniversary pretty much starts on the 25th. So therefore, just be wary of that. But do let me know what you guys think of the tier list. Let me know where would you place some units, because obviously we won't have the same agreement on all the placements on the tier list, but I would love to hear it. Everyone has their own opinions. I would love to see what you guys would place certain units at. And also, if Discord needs new members. When I say new members, I would say some members that are a bit more active. Discord has become pretty dry lately, and personally speaking, I'm not always in there, but if you personally want to chat with me and just talk about things, that's where I'm gonna most likely be at when it comes to that. And plus, anniversary's coming up, so I'm gonna have raids and all the good stuff being hosted, possibly some tournaments hopefully. So if you're interested in that, do feel free to join. But as always, if you're new around here, consider leaving a like on the video and join the channel because it's very much appreciated. Now, first things first, we're gonna talk about we're gonna do it from the top. So from the first, the first spot, the second spot. That way, you don't have to wait necessarily until like the later half of the video to find out what unit is number one, in my opinion. But number one spot is pretty much going to Golden Frieza. I think there's no debate, no doubt in that. When you look at this unit, it's pretty clear. You could argue that with Ultra Gohan, but the big difference there, is obviously because they're type disadvantage right there for him. And plus, Frieza has also what is that? Combat steel or something, and that's pretty useful. You get damage, and it's not like let's say like with when you die, like we have some units like that in the game. It's the purple LF cell who also does that. When he dies, he does damage to you. And so the difference is Frieza comes back, so you're basically getting a second life, but it's not a revival. So in a sense, the guy's pretty busted. Blast armor, you can combo, and it just feels like I didn't summon personally for his banner, but I know from experience just playing against this guy, you make a couple mistakes that it's pretty much game. So do keep that in mind that it's arguable you could put Gohan in number one spot, but I think Frieza, in terms of also teams, you got powerful opponent, you got Stylus from the movies, which I would say is at a weird spot, but you still can run Stylus from movies with him. You got powerful opponent. I would say Lineage of Evil, but Lineage of Evil hasn't really been also great lately. But when you look at certain teams, I think Gohan has the better teams, but Frieza has the better characters on the teams that he's been mainly ran on, if that kind of makes sense. So that's what I think on that, right? I'm gonna try to just give very short explanations for certain units. That way we don't be talking about this all the time. But number two spot, I think it was obvious who I was probably gonna give it to. Ultra Gohan is still busted. The guy has blast armor on his blast card, or not blast cards, but he can break blast armor on his blast cards, which is pretty OP. Because then you can't just freely charge with a unit with blast armor. And then he also has, what is that? He counters strike cards, strike blue cards, strike green, anything that's strike based. The only thing he doesn't counter is the Rise and Rush and the ultimate cards. But in a sense, that is still OP. The guy has an AoE green card. I think there's nothing else to be said, because AoE greens are pretty much they're king in the game now. He has that. His blue card also counters. So yeah, there's that. They just threw a whole bunch of busted OP mechanics into this unit. And, you know, with him having all that, hybrids is definitely one of the better teams now, especially with him being added. And then you still have Beast Gohan, who can still put in the work, you know, even though on the tier list for me personally, I think that he's dropped down a bit from the last time that I did a tier list for him. You still got Pan, who is one of the better still support units that I think for everyone, you know, I think a lot of people run Pan with Ultra Gohan. And if it isn't that, you see some family maybe with Goku and Bardock. You know, I see so many mismatched of teams, but when you put him on any team at this point, you know, he cooks. So I think he's deserving of that number 2 spot. And when we look at the number 3 spot, I'm gonna put Ultra UI. Now I know some people are gonna say, you know, if you watch the last tier list, I put Super 17 at the number 3 spot, but it's because of how the meta is. And you see Ultra UI, he feels like that character where you can just put him on any team, and you know, you can just pretty much cook with him. Because, for example, he has mechanics that no other unit in the game still has. He can basically counter your cover change and get a free ultimate hit off of it. And that's not mentioned, when you get into a clash with him, you automatically win. Something similar to what MUI has, the LF MUI, but instead, you know, you don't get priority. So it's basically a draw, but you still not necessarily, even if you were to lose, you wouldn't lose. You know, it'd be a draw. And then he's able to, something similar to what Gohan has, he can counter what is it, strike cards. Well, actually, no, yeah, strike cards. It's like strike cards, strike blues. He can counter those. You know, and then he also has his unique gauge, where he's able to pretty much dodge majority of things. And when you look at it, what I mean why 17 isn't, it feels like he's falling off a little bit, especially after coming out that boost system. Offensively wise, you know, as a solo unit, he's overall great, but his defenses has hit pretty hard. So it's very hard to see, because I still run the unit with GT as well, one of my main teams. So it sucks, right? But he's still a great unit. But looking at the number 4 spot, I'm gonna put the LF, Nappa, and Vegeta. And I think they're very well deserving of that top 5 spot. And while we're at it, let's just move some of these guys down here. But I think when you look at Nappa and Vegeta, they are what Vegeta clan needed. And hence, you know, Super Vegeta was supposed to be that guy when he released earlier this year, but no, he turned out to be pretty bad, and that hurt it, because, you know, we haven't had a good solo premium Vegeta unit. In a sense, you could definitely say that this is a solo unit because it's a revival into Vegeta. So therefore, once Nappa dies, you know, it's Vegeta. That's all it is. So, you know, these guys, and then plus when you look at just purple units overall, you know, you see some people running mono purple. Mono purple has hit a pretty, you know, it's looking good now. You know, you also got Jiren down here, who, you know, is a pretty still solid tank. Just overall, you know, you run a universe rep with this guy too, or just mono purple. He could be that person that just takes hits. And when you look at it, that's why I put UI at the 3rd spot, because besides him, you probably have Baby, depending on the teams. That's your counter. You know, there's no sure fire way that you're gonna run to mono purple every single match. But more than likely, if you're in the high rankings down, you're gonna see Golden Frieza a lot. You're gonna see Nappa and Vegeta, because Saiyan Saga has become a pretty good team. You know, I've seen someone run this guy right here. You can run that guy. You can run Fiku right here. And then there's also that revival here, Gohan. It's a pretty solid team. Or you can swap it around. You know, there's some other options. You also have 8 Vegeta. You know, a couple options still. But I think they deserve that number 4 spot, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys would, you know, where would you put them at? Would you consider them top 5? Or would you consider them at the lower end of top 10, right? So, coming at the number 5 spot, we're going to give it to my boy Super 17. Now, overall, for me, I don't think he's in the top 3 anymore, simply because of how quickly he dies off when it comes to his defenses. So when it comes to him being on certain teams, I think powerful opponent, that's his better team. Androids, I feel like with androids, you still have options, but those options aren't as, just as good as they used to be, right? But the thing is, you got androids, you have GT. GT is still in that, I would say, top 5 for teams right now, top 10. GT, powerful opponent. When we look at 17, he feels like that he's a solo unit. When it comes to him taking hits, nah, that it hurts to watch. I think my 17 is at 8 stars. Even if you have him at 14 stars, he still is going to take pretty much a lot of damage, and that could be an issue. Even with him being an offensive powerhouse and everything, the issue is if he can't take a couple of hits and he's already dying off pretty quickly, there's no point, because you can't use him, right? So when you look at him, right, combo potential, still one of the best in the game. That green card is definitely deadly. That's one of the better green cards that you can use in the game. Pretty much leaving your opponent, helpless. You're taking away their key, you're locking their rush, you're locking them out from subbing out, you're taking away their advantage. So, and even when you don't land the green card, you're still taking away their key, and also I think you're locking their rush and everything else. So you're still taking away like half their key and all that stuff. So it's, yeah, the guy is still insane, when it comes to those, especially if you're in a 3v1 situation where you're trying to make a comeback. You could definitely make it with this guy. This guy is definitely still there. But overall, when it comes to team wise, and then just how the meta is, I'm gonna put him in the top 5 spot, the number 5 spot. I think he's still in the top 5, definitely. It's just when he gets hit hard, he does not survive that long. So coming in at the number 6 spot, I am gonna give that to Baby. Now, a lot of people, the last time I made a tier list, when this guy first dropped, I believe I put him in the top 10. Some people were not happy about that. And the thing is, I looked at it from a sense that when he first dropped, yeah, he didn't feel as, as just great. But now that we got all these purples in the meta, and then we got what Vegeta, yeah, Vegeta is powerful opponent as well, I believe. We got all these other, powerful opponent, different units that you can run alongside with him. He's got some great partners when it comes to that team. Regen as well isn't that, it's not as great as powerful opponent right now, but Regen got his revival cell as well. You got a couple other options as well for Regen. There's also that LF cell as well. But when you look at Super Baby, I feel like people don't give the unit enough credit. And I feel like it's either that, some people don't have the unit, or, they just, when they use him, he just doesn't feel as great. And I feel like, yeah, that could be the issue or the reason why. But I feel like sometimes it depends on the teams. Team building is very important. Very important, because this guy, you can also run, I forgot, GT also with Super 17. You can run Spirit Doku as a support unit, or if you don't want to do that, you can run, you got Gogeta still here and other couple options. But when you look at it, he's still a top 10 unit, but same situation with Super 17. He does not take hit. He takes hits better than Super 17, but in all sense, the guy, if he's at a great disadvantage, yeah, he's dying off pretty quick. So do keep that in mind. I think his unique gauge is sort of similar to like the Broly unique gauge, the Ultra Broly, where, when you pop it, he's taking away your advantage, he's destroying cards, he's killing key. So something similar to what 17 has going for him and his main card, taking away a lot of things that's going to allow you, to switch out. And he also locks you in as well. So he's locking you in. So, he has a lot of good things in his kit. But if you ever run this guy, and if you're running to Super 17, you're running to Beast Gohan, any red unit that is capable of doing some really good damage, he's gonna die off really quick. I'm telling you, a couple cards, he's dead. So I think he's still deserving of being in that 6th spot. You could even argue and maybe switch out him in Super 17 if you want to. That's definitely doable. I feel like it's arguable, right? But for me personally, especially from the experience of playing against him and all that good stuff, I say he stays at the number 6 spot. Now coming up at the number 7 spot, got Spirit Bomb Goku, or Universal Spirit Bomb Goku. I think some people, as like I mentioned, a lot of people weren't happy with where I placed him at. Now, I think this is the same spot that I placed him at, either the 7th or the 8th spot in the last tier list. And I think that's a good spot because overall, he's a great support. He's a great sponge for GT themselves. He's giving support. He can take hits, and then he's able to heal off those hits after he pops his unique gauge. And the thing about this unit is, once you pop that unique gauge, his ultimate card can be, it hits. He has different mechanics where one of them is where he's locking you in. Another one, he's taking away your vanish, and he's also locking you in if you're the last man standing. It's a couple more, kits to it. He has the green card where he's stunning your opponent. And once you pop that, you get even more sustained damage cut. Which the more sustained damage cut, the better, right? So, he's just a great defensive unit. That's like, he feels what a defensive unit should feel like, where they have some form of attack power, but at the same time they can take hits, and be able to just soak up those hits and heal up. He just feels like the great example of what some defensive units should have been in the past. So that is personally what I think where he should stay at. You could argue and put him down at number 8, but he's still in the top 10 for me personally. But coming at number 9. Now normally, this is an LF type of LF and Ultra tier list, but this guy surprised me. Biku. This Zenkai, like I mentioned earlier, when you run Saiyan Saga, you can run it with Nappa and Vegeta. You can run this guy right here with the green Zenkai Gohan. The guy surprised me, and honestly speaking, I have him Zenkai. I have not personally played with him, but I played against him. And yeah, he can take some hits. He has something else in his kit. I believe it's after you vanish or after you switch into another character, he locks you in for like 1 or 2 timer counts. And I was playing against somebody in my showcase video with Evokin, and yeah, it can get really annoying. So he has a couple things in his kit overall supporting Saiyan Saga and just Saiyans in general. He just feels like an overall just solid option. Let's just say you don't have Nappa and Vegeta, but you want to run Saiyan Saga, right? And you have this guy Zenkai. He's like I said, he's a good option to put on the team. So I think he just stayed at that spot, number 8 right there. But he surprised me. He really did surprise me. Coming up on the number 10 spot. Well, actually, you could argue this. So actually, you can argue this and put Beast Gohan right there, because I said number 10, but I meant number 9. You could argue that and put him at number 9, put Beast at number 8, because it's the same situation for Beast. After the boost system, even though he has a good option of teams to run with, right? He just feels like he's not as great as he used to be in his prime, basically, right? But that does not mean that he isn't great. When it comes to, say, let's just say, compare him to Super 17. In a 3v1 situation, you might think that you might have won, but no. His blue card still hits like a truck. You still have to be wary that he can come back at any given time, because he has that in his kit. He has those abilities, those different things working out for him, and he has something. Once he transforms, he's constantly restoring vanish a couple times while he's on the field. So if you're not, if you're not playing careful, this guy can come back, any situation that you give him. When it comes to, I feel like for Beast, basically though, it just feels like he doesn't feel as oppressive as he did when he first released. And that's the same thing for any unit, right? When it comes to any unit in the game, they feel pretty. They either feel great on release, or they feel pretty bad. Super Vegeta, if we're talking about pretty bad, because the guy did not, I don't even know why he's even in the game at this point. They did my man so bad. He felt like such a fun unit to use, but he just was not it, right? But yeah, Beast is, I'm gonna leave him at number 8. Fiku's gonna be at number 9. But as like I mentioned, Beast has so many options when it comes to teams, starters from the movies, Hyper Saiyans, Sun Family. So, and then plus there's the leader slot. You can throw him on any team that you really want. It's the same thing with the Ultras, like I mentioned. These guys, you could argue this. You could probably put Nappa and Vegeta in top 3. But like I mentioned, moving on to number 10 spot, because I'm over here just talking, right? Number 10, I'm gonna give that to Goku and Bardock. These guys kind of, I don't know what to say. They felt so good that first month or two of them releasing, and then so on after that, they just kind of declined down. But they're still a great unit. It's sort of the same similar situation for some of these guys. I think with them, the last time I did a tier list with them in it, they were either top 5 or at their number 6 spot, I believe. So these guys, you got Sun Family, them being probably the best game original unit, pretty much. They got the indestructible ability. That is something that's still very powerful. Gives you a free life without your opponent being able to pretty much take it away. It's not like endurance. You're pretty much able to take any amount of damage, right? It's pretty early for me. I'm lagging all over the place. Do forgive me, but yeah. With them, it just feels like they're not as impressive. They're not as great as they used to be. But when it comes to teams, and then they have that ability where they're stacking sustained damage cut, I believe, on their strike cards. I believe that's either on Goku side. If not, it's on Bardock side. It's on one of their sides, right? But they have all this stuff going for them. They have an AoE green card, like I mentioned. AoE green cards are king in this game. And they just feel like, they're great. But now they wouldn't be that first option, right, when it comes to certain teams. And yeah, at first, when they had this team where they were running like pure Saiyans. Everybody was running pure Saiyans, and it was pretty crazy. If you didn't have that, you can run Sun Family with these guys and Beast Gohan. Yeah, and it was getting out of hand, pretty much. They were either the number 1, number 2 team in the game at that time. So, in the current meta, it's not the best for them because they're blue and they're green, and you got Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and then you got Frieza, and then you got Nappa and Vegeta. Like they're just countered, but in a way, on the right team, they feel still good. So, looking at the honorable mentions, because I'm pretty sure this video is pretty lengthy, because your boy just be talking. I try to give my explanation of why certain positions of where I put them at the best as I can, right? But looking at, let's say at the number 11 spot, I would personally give that to Gogeta. And then we look at number 12, I would give that to Revival Cell. And then looking at 13, I would give that to Pan. I'm gonna give that to Goku and Frieza, and then we'll switch like that. So that is what it's looking like for the the top 15 or the honorable mentions, whichever one you want to call it. Obviously there's a reason why all these guys are here, because you run them on certain teams, they're great, they're solid, but they're not very diversible. So you can't just throw them on any team and then expect them to perform super great. I think the exception here is maybe Pan, because she's just an overall, just great support, right? During his best team would probably be, Universe Rep. You could put him on PO as well, powerful opponent, but I've never really tested that out really. But he probably could be great on powerful opponent. Goku and Frieza, They're for me, they're still a good unit. They have mechanics that you know, they still have all these mechanics with countering your Rise and Rush. When that was in, they're the only unit that has that. And then I remember when these guys dropped, the game decided, hey, they don't feel as good, you know, so we should give them 10, 15 more buffs in their kit. And that's why they were just running PvP. They were like the top, they were number one, pretty much running PvP for like months. So yeah, that was insane. That was the first time I ever seen something like that. After a unit releases, they quickly gave them a buff for their kit, not a unique equip, none of that, not a Zenkai. You know, they were new, so they can't give them a Zenkai obviously, but yeah, they still feel great. I sometimes run them when it comes to Universe Rep or maybe some fam, you know, just to run some fun teams that aren't meta relevant, right? Revival Zenkai Cell. This guy surprised me, just like Fiku. He you run him on regen, you can run him on PO, you can run him on different teams. You know, he, you know, not the most, you know, damaging unit, but overall he just feels great to use on certain teams. And then he'd be that guy to just take a hit for you or take the Rise and Rush. So that, you know, that's pretty much his role on some of those teams. And you know, Zenkai Gogeta, this guy, I mean, he was pretty good on release. You know, when he got his Zenkai, he's still good now, you know, overall. And I would say, you know, you could argue and put him in at the number 10 spot if you want to. You know, I still run him on GT myself. So I could definitely vouch and say that this guy, when they gave him his Zenkai, you know, long awaited, it was very much well deserved, right? But looking at this tier list, I would say it's not bad. I think this is overall solid tier list. Like I mentioned, there is a couple spots you could argue and change some units. You know, at the end of the day, when people, you know, I don't understand why people get irritated why I put certain units certain places. I'm trying to base it off the meta and then just from personal experience as well, right? From like playing against them or just even using the units itself. So that's what I'm basing it off of. You know, at the end of the day, I don't really get mad. I just look at it and I'll be like, well, I can understand that, right? At the end of the day, we all have opinions. We're both human beings. I can understand that you like this unit more or you think they're better than this unit. That's what opinions are for. So there's no reason, you know, you get mad in the comment section. Let's just talk about it. But at the end of the day, I haven't been feeling it great lately. But like I mentioned, it's not really an excuse to not put out videos. I find myself, because it's really, for me, it's more of like just allergies than me being sick all the time. Because normally I don't get sick like that. It's normally just allergies, you know, and they suck. They suck, man, honestly. But that is where I'm leaving this at for the top 10. Top 5, you got Golden Frieza, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, UI, LF Nappa and Vegeta, and Super 17. So let me know what you guys think personally down below. As always, everyone have a blessed day. It's your boy JB. I'm out.